A very good morning and welcome to Henley Women's Regatta 2001, the third day Sunday, finals day. On the course at the moment, it is the first race of the day, race 301, and Hartbury Boat Club have been withdrawn. So Upper Thames are rowing over. And the second race of the day just underway. This is aspirational
Coxless Quads. We've got Newcastle University and Tyne Rowing Club, so that composite that's up on your screen at the moment, going to be on the Berkshire station, and London Rowing Club, their A-boat, who's now on the left of your screen. That's a quick start from the composite from the north, and they've just poked their nose ahead there really early on in the race. That's quite good to see for them.
So these are the quarterfinals. Upper Thames will go through as they've rowed over in the first race. They'll be up against the winners here of Newcastle Tyne Composite London Rowing Club. The next pair of races will then see Nottingham University and Marlow, and Tideway Scullows come up against Newcastle University B. So that's the first four races on the course. We then move on to the Junior 8s, and then the Junior Quads, Junior Pairs, and Junior Coxed 4s takes us up to just before 11 o'clock. So fast and furious here. Passing us, it's a very slight lead for London Rowing Club. So you're looking at race 302, the second race of the day, and just pushing out now to about half a length's lead, it is London Rowing Club. Approaching the boat tents and coming up to the halfway point, London Rowing Club now look to be increasing that lead over Newcastle Tyne Composite.
Yeah, it looks to be about a length at the moment, and all of these boats have got quite a few races today. You'll notice bottom right hand side of your screen there, it is a quarter-final, so they've got a quarter-final this morning, they'll have a semi-final early this afternoon, and their final in the evening. So it's a real packed day of racing for some of these boats. So quite a few of them we're probably not going to see particularly, rather we're going to see some quite close finishes early on in the morning. You're going to get a lot of boats that potentially don't want to go out too hard and then wreck themselves for the rest of the day. But at the moment, London Rowing Club has potentially opened up a little bit of clear water there between them and the Northern Composite, but they're very much in control of this race at the moment.
Upper Thames having rowed over, they'll face the winners of this race on the course at the moment, in which London Rowing Club maintain a lead of just over a length. Maintaining a high rate there, London, and still moving away from the composite. And they've got a bit to do if they want to catch up before they reach the finish. So London Rowing Club look to be securing a place. And you see a shot there of London. And that's now some 2 lengths.
Yeah, so that's just them coming up to the finish there, just across the line. That's going to be London comfortably by a couple of lengths. So they're going to be going into the semi-finals later this morning. But we just pop back up to the start of the course now for the third heat, or third quarter-final.
And this sees
Coxless Fours.
Nottingham University A against Marlow Rowing Club. Nottingham on the near side, towards the towpath. Marlow over the town side of the course, towards the middle of the river. Good strong start. Advantage at the moment to Nottingham University as they head up towards our commentary position.
Yeah, so Nottingham have come away from last weekend at the Bucks Regatta on their home water up in Nottingham with a 4th in the Champ Quads. So they're going to be hoping to do really well in this competition today. So like I said earlier, this is their first of 3 races today. But already, as they come up towards the commentary position, about a third of the way down the course, they are pulling out to about a length's lead over Marlow Rowing Club.
Still rating a bit higher than Marlow. It's Nottingham trying to push home that advantage and get a bit of clear water as they pass where we're sat. It is just about a length they lead.
Yeah, so they've not broken clear yet. There's not clear water between the 2 boats. And it does look like Marlow has just made a little bit of a call. They're going to be really desperate to not lose contact with Nottingham. Once you've got open water between the 2 boats, it is so much more difficult to get back on equal terms. So Marlow maybe going for a little bit of a push there, but Nottingham still sitting about a length up at the moment.
It looked to me there as if Nottingham saw the move from Marlow and just put their foot on the pedal to keep a bit of clear water and psychologically have that gap between them, the leading crew, and Marlow.
Yeah, they've responded really well there. There does look like there's some clear water between the 2 boats now, and now that Nottingham have got that gap, it's going to be so much easier for them to maintain it.
There's the drone shot showing the course. A little bit of rain here this morning. It's dry at the moment, fairly cool, definitely cooler than yesterday, but the conditions out there are pretty flat. There's not too much breeze, so excellent for a fine day of rowing.
Yeah, so we're not seeing that quite gusty breeze that we saw yesterday afternoon that was coming across the course. So hopefully it's going to be a little bit nicer for some of the lighter boats, some of the smaller boats this morning. It's going to be a little bit easier to row. But like you said, it has poured down this morning, so everywhere's very damp, quite chilly.
Yeah, they're coming up to the the part of the course yesterday where we saw some gusts catch a few crews out. It's where the tree line on the town side has a break, has a gap, and yeah, certainly yesterday, particularly with the smaller boats, it did sort of knock them sideways. But they've been up and down this course now a few times, so hopefully they'll be aware.
Yeah, we can just see there on our screen, Nottingham are just continuing to open out that gap between them and Marlow. Marlow just looking a little bit shorter in the stroke. Their catches just not quite as clean. I think Nottingham are just capitalising upon that. They've owned this race pretty much the whole way down, and they're going to row like this all the way to the finish.
Marlow, they're still trying to get back on terms, but it is Nottingham that continue to lead. Down at the start, the next heat is just underway. This is Tideway Scullers against Newcastle University B. Shot on the left there, that's Newcastle University B. They're on the Buckinghamshire station. Tideway Scullers School nearest the towpath on the Berkshire station. So the very closing stages, top right, sees Nottingham University A just winding down over the line. An overhead shot there of the last of this quarter-finals, Tideway Scullers School and Newcastle. Tideway Scullers about 3/4 of a length up as they approach us.
Yeah, that's a fairly early advantage. So it's, I think Tideway Scullers' third boat at the Regatta today, so they had a championship 4 that was unfortunately knocked out yesterday against the Maudsley Boat Club. So there is some weight resting on the shoulders of this quad to perform, and it is what they're doing here. They've opened up clear water from Newcastle already, and they are looking really confident at the moment as they make their way towards the halfway mark. Yeah, you can see there that Tideway Scullers have opened up a sizable advantage over Newcastle at the moment. They're really not letting Newcastle have a look in at all. We're coming up to boating areas now, so we're about halfway down the course, and they've just kept moving the whole way down. That gap's just getting bigger and bigger.
Tideway Scullers still maintaining their lead as they're heading now down towards Upper Thames and leaving the boating enclosures. So about 2/3 of the way down the course, and it's Tideway Scullers School with a big advantage at the moment over Newcastle University B. Finals day of racing. This is the quarterfinals of the academic Quadruple Skulls. First of the quarters, Upper Thames rowed over. Then we had London Rowing Club who won by a length and a quarter. Their time was 4:34. In the next heat, it was Newcastle University A who beat Marlow. They did that in a time of 4:32. And on the course at the moment, just finishing, we have Tideway Scullers School.
Yeah, so coming up sort of next on the programme, we have the Junior 8s for the Peabody Cup, followed not too far behind by the Junior Coxless Quads. But at the moment, we can see Tideway Scullers with a fairly healthy lead over Newcastle University B.
Yeah, Tideway Scullers, they're just winding down as they cross the line. So they come in at a time of 4:32. So the winning times there all around sort of 4:32, 4:34. So really, really close. We look forward to the semi-finals later. Down at the start, we have Enniskillen, Royal Grammar School, and Latimer. Latimer upper on the Buckinghamshire station. Enniskillen with a big E on the back nearest to us, and there they go, short strokes, bang, 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 try and get the boat up and moving, get a bit of speed.
Yeah, so Latimer went for immediate length there, full strokes right out the blocks. Enniskillen went much more short, much more snappy, much harder. Both of these boats had really great races yesterday. I think Latimer potentially won by a verdict of easily, so this should be quite a good race, but already it does look like Enniskillen's got about a third of a length advantage at the moment. So that short, snappy start has paid off. It's got the boat speed up quite quickly, and it doesn't look like the gap's getting any bigger at the moment.
And we notice here that the stroke, both boats on different sides, so one on stroke side, one on bow side. And it's Enniskillen at the moment that have a lead of around about half a length as they pass the commentary position.
So they've just slipped past the commentary box there. They're making their way down to the boating area. Enniskillen have pulled out a slightly larger lead. It's maybe about 3/4 of a length at the moment. But Latimer are by no means out of this race at the moment. So Latimer gained a bronze medal at the Nat Schools Championship a couple of months ago, which is going to be was Latimer's first ever medal in the event in Champ 8s. So there's a lot of pedigree in the boat here, but at the moment it's Enniskillen with the advantage. It might be the camera angles there, but I could say that Latimer maybe has pulled a few feet back on them. Certainly the gap's not got much bigger. But as they're making their way past the boating area now, so about 2/3 of the way down the course, Enniskillen are leading by about 2/3 of a length.
Enniskillen then still with a lead. They've got about a length up on Latimer Upper. Coming through now to the sort of closing stages of this race. These are the first of the Junior 8s. Next up we have Surbiton competing against Headington. Third quarter-final is Henley Rowing Club, Putney High School A. And then it's Putney High School B, Lady Eleanor Hollis. So down at the start, we have our first stoppage of the day. How's that for a term? There we go. It looks very much as if the umpire there has called that to a halt. Surbiton against Headington. Didn't see a clash.
Yeah,
maybe somebody wasn't ready.
Yeah, not really sure what's happened there. Potentially mechanical difficulty with one of the boats, sort of within neutral water within the first 100 or so metres. It's perfectly acceptable for the cops to stick their hand up and say, no, we need to go again. But
they were actually looking down the course. I wonder if there was, if the umpire had spotted, I don't know, maybe a bit of debris or something in the water. Okay, well, they're backing down to have a restart there. That's Surbiton High School on the Berkshire station and Headington on the Bucks.
Yeah, so Surbiton had that fantastic race yesterday against Tyne Rowing Club. I think a verdict of about 5 lengths. You know, they look so clean, so tidy. So I think they're really going to be one of the crews to watch. This should be quite an interesting race by all accounts, once they're all hooked back up to the start boats and ready to go.
The result of the previous quarter-final was a win for Enniskillen Royal Grammar School Ireland over Latimer Upper. The distance was 3/4 of a length and the time was 4:28. So a slight delay while they reattach themselves to the state boats. Not sure really for the reason for the restart, but they are going to restart this race. Okay, and they're underway now. For the second time, this is the restart. Surbiton High School, bottom of the screen. Headington on the left now as you look, and Headington taking a marginal but very early lead.
Yeah, so Headington, just on how the draw's fallen, have had a bye into today's race. So I said yesterday about Surbiton High School having that fantastic scrap with Tyne Rowing Club's A boat. The verdict was about 4 lengths, but Headington are going to have slightly fresher legs this morning after what was a really good race actually between Surbiton and Tyne yesterday. And it does seem to be paying off for Headington. They've got a relatively early lead as they come past us in the commentary tower. It's about 3/4 of a length at the moment, but neither crew looks Neither crew looks particularly slow, if I'm being entirely honest. They're picking the luck of the draw at the moment. Certainly Surbiton aren't letting Headington slip away from them.
Yeah, there's about a length in it as we look at the drone, the overhead shot here. You can see both crews still maintaining a high rate of striking. And from this angle it looks as if Headington are just inching away from the pursuing boat, which is Surbiton. This is about the halfway mark now on the course.
Yeah, so it looks like there's clear water. Headington obviously have a fantastic history in the eights. They dominated in the past couple of years, and that scores Regatta. So you'd be expecting them to come here and do well, really, which is exactly what they're doing. So there's about half a length of clear water between the two boats at the moment. Maybe a length, that might be up to about a 2-length advantage at the moment as they come past the boating area. But you can see that how smooth that water is. There is no breeze today whatsoever. Perfect conditions, it's nice and cool. The sun's gone behind a cloud. We had a lot of rain this morning, but that's all cleared up, so really perfect conditions for these boats. And Headington are making full use of that as they move out to maybe 2.5 lengths.
You're watching the quarterfinals of the Junior 8s. These quarterfinals continue with Henley against Putney and Putney High School B against Lady Eleanor Hollis. And the drone there showing, or was showing, the picture of this crew leading. They seem to have just taken the edge off it there, winding down a little bit as they head towards the finish.
Yeah, so it's the same thing again. They've got another 2 races today, so you don't want to be going out and absolutely hammering your legs the whole way down the course this early in the morning. Otherwise, the next 2 are going to be really painful.
Okay, there you see Headington just winding down, very aware that they've got, well, if they go on and win it, they've got a full day of racing, a couple of hours rest, semi-final, and then literally a couple of hours after that, you're into your final. We're looking at the start of Henley Rowing Club, Putney High School A. Henley on the left-hand side there, nearest to the top. Oh my goodness,
there was
the girl
a bit of a wobble there from the girl at 7.
Girl at 7 just had a bit of a mishap, but
looks like she just got her blade stuck, but she recovered really well.
she
from
did
that,
recover,
And it hasn't really affected them. I think they're still neck and neck.
No, that's not taken anything off the boat speed, and it does look like they've got about a campus advantage at the moment, so really lucky there.
they're getting a bit close to each other. This is a real...
Rowing club, they are. They're just drifting into the middle of the course. Certainly if you're on the Buck Station, so Putney Rowing Club, sometimes the centre of the course can be a little bit flatter. Those booms do something to abate any wake off the boats. But
Well, Putney High School there definitely looking as if they've drifted towards the and they're the ones that took the action to move away, and arguably that's cost them a couple of seats because it's Henley, as they pass us, that lead now by about a quarter of a length.
yeah, so that girl at 7 in the Henley boat, really, she's not let that girly mishap affect her whatsoever, and the whole boat looks so together, they look so strong. But obviously rowing on home water, Henley Rowing Club, so they're going to know this place like the back of their hand, they're going to know every landmark, they're going to know every feature of this river. So this is just another day at the office for them, really. And at the moment, that's been proved by about a 3/4 of a length advantage.
Race 306 was a win for Headington School. They won by a distance of 3.5 lengths, and their time was 4:25. So there you are. There you see Henley in this quarterfinal of the Junior 8s, pushing out now to just about a length's lead. Yeah, we were looking at the overhead shot there. It looks as if both 8s sort of veered across, whether that was a gust of wind or... Well, it's very, very calm where we are. Might be a little bit breezier. Down towards the finish, it does open up a bit down there. Heading down towards Upper Thames. Henley still going strong. Just over a length now.
Yeah, Henley just look like the more powerful of the two boats at the moment. They just look a little bit more composed, a little bit more powerful through the water. So really, it's no surprise from looking at the two boats that Henley is up to probably over a length advantage at the moment. Henley Rowing Club, obviously with that fantastic junior program that they have down here, they're always really strong contenders for the 8s, the quads, just for any event really. You know there's going to be a tough race when you come up against Henley Rowing Club.
Putney High School A up the rate, desperately trying to get back on terms with Henley. Down at the start is Putney High School B, up against Lady Eleanor Hollis. LEH on the right of your screen, on the town side. Putney High School on the towpath side.
Yeah, so Lady Eleanor Hollis had a relatively easy race yesterday, their first heat against Camelson Tyne. Verdicted easily, which is never nice to see, certainly for junior boats, but that's going to give them a big shot of confidence coming into today's race. And at the moment it's doing a lot for them. They're up by about a length already. We're only a couple of 100 metres in. They've not yet come past us in the commentary tower, and it does look like there's clear water between the two boats. So a fantastic overhead shot there. Yeah, you can see the gap that Lady Eleanor Hollis just opened from them. They rode fantastically yesterday.
And race 307 was a win for Henley Rowing Club over Putney High School A, and they went down the course in a time of 4:34. This the last of the quarter-final heats, which sees Putney High School B up against Lady Eleanor Hollis, and LEH have a lead now of about a length and a half. The next batch of races we have for you are the quarterfinals of the Junior Quads. Shiplake against Henley, so that's a big rivalry, big local battle.
Yeah, so those Shiplake and Henley certainly are really going to know what each other are about. They're going to have raced each other, they're going to have seen each other paddling up and down the same bits of the Thames. So it's going to be a local derby, as close as they come in rowing. And you can just see there on your screen Lady Eleanor Hollis. They haven't dropped the rate really, they're still sort of powering on, trying to just open up as wide a gap as possible between them and Putney High School B. So as they come past the boating area, it looks like an advantage of maybe 3 or 4 lengths now to Lady Eleanor Hollis. So they had that great race yesterday. They beat Camelson Tyne by a verdict of easily, and this morning is looking like another great race for them. They're going to be back out on the water if nothing goes wrong, and they do win this 10-1. facing off against Henley Rowing Club. And it looks like there might have just been quite a large gust of wind there. Both crews have just drifted off to the right of your screen, but we've just come back up the course now for the start of the first quarterfinal of the day for the junior.
Yeah, they're underway. This is the junior quads. Shiplake on the right, nearest to the towpath. Henley over on the far side, the town side of the course, and it's Shiplake have got off to a faster start. Henley now with a bit of work to do already. They're about a length down as they approach our commentary position. Shiplake, where they want to be, in front, can look over, control the race. And plenty of support for all of these girls in this competition. Henley just had a bit of a push there to try and get back on terms. So Shiplake with a lead by about a length. They seem to have just drifted across there, Shiplake. They were certainly a lot closer to the booms when they passed us. And now they seem to be veering back towards the booms. So, if you like, Henley steering the more truer course. Shiplake have just wandered a wee bit. Getting a bit close to the booms again. Now they have the gap to contend with. They don't want to drift any further over. Shiplake still in the lead, just over a length. Bow girl of the Henley boat looks over her shoulder. Is there a call to have a push to try and get back on terms? So there's just over a length's lead. Shiplake out in front, controlling the race, but very, very aware of the threat posed by Henley.
Yeah, they've not really managed to break free at the moment. They opened up that lead quite early. The gap has stuck about 2 lengths now for a couple of 100 metres. So like you said, they're going to be aware that Henley don't have to do a huge amount to come back onto terms. But
Well, we saw yesterday, didn't we? We saw a couple of late sprints yesterday, certainly in the Oxford Brookes race when they're up against, I think it was Sheffield.
Yeah, Sheffield University Brookes. It was Sheffield all the way down the course, and in the last 100 metres, honestly, the last 10 strokes, not sure. Sheffield maybe just faded. Oxford Brookes found some new life, but Oxford Brookes went on to win by about.
They did, yeah. So there is, you know, keep an eye on it. There is, what we're saying is, you know, there is the potential.
Anything can
to
happen.
put it, yeah, anything can happen. There's a potential of a late sprint. Next up, we have Sir William Perkins School A against Wallingford. That appears on your screen on the left-hand side, and it looks like Wallingford at the moment with a very, very slight lead.
Yeah, that's quite an early barnstormer, to be honest, really. Certainly this early in the morning. There's not a huge amount between the two at the moment. Wallingford had a great race yesterday against Trafford. The verdict of easy. William Perkins did a much, much tighter race. I think it was only about a length in it at the end against Nottingham Union. And as they're coming past the commentary tower now, it's maybe a canvas.
Yeah, from where I sat, it looked like Wallingford there past me, about a canvas ahead. We're watching the closing stages of Shiplake and Henley. It's never been more than 2 lengths. That's probably what it is at the moment. Shiplake got off the start, got ahead. They crossed the line now, and then Henley winding down, crossing now. So good race there. See Shiplake progress through to the semi-finals. Sir William Perkins up against Wallingford, and Wallingford trying desperately to break away, but this is a close one.
Yeah, this is, I think, much closer than people can call it. So they're about halfway now. You can see the boating areas on the left-hand side of your screen, but like you said, Wallingford's not broken away from William Perkins. It was a really good start from Wallingford that got that early advantage, and then they've just not gone anywhere since. William Perkins just had a maybe a slightly scrappier start, maybe not quite as much power in the water, but their race pace, their race rhythm is more than equal between the two boats. And you can see that now that Wallingford just haven't broken free. And that's going to put them in a really dangerous position as they come up towards the finish. Like we said in the last race, you know, a lot can happen in those last couple of 100 metres. You really can't write anyone off. But at the moment, Wallingford have a very slight advantage.
Wallingford from those shots look to have the more lively, crisper action if you look at the way the blades are going in, the way they're shoving the puddles away. And as a result, they have a small lead. I suspect that was a bit of a push. I suspect when the camera angle widens out, we'll see that Wallingford have pushed forward, possibly to 3/4 of a length. Well, it's fast and furious. The other heat has got underway now. This is York City and Marlow. York City on the towpath side, Marlow on the town side. And again, a very lively start. Marlow,
yeah, that's another close
really
start.
do rate
as well.
high, don't they?
Yeah, that's another really close start. Marlow really short and snappy versus York City's sort of much more relaxed but much longer stroke style. And we can just see on the right of your picture there.
Yeah, as I suspected, Wallingford there went for a push and have broken clear of Sir William Perkins. On the left-hand side, another ding-dong of a battle here, but it sees Marlow presently just trying to forge ahead. They're coming up past our commentary position now, but there's really not very much in this. Marlow, maybe by quarter of a length.
Yeah, there's really not much in it. This is going to be another battle of wills all the way down. Who breaks first? You know, both of these boats are going to go as hard and as fast as they can the whole way down. And it's essentially just going to be who fades first, who isn't quite as fit, who isn't quite as technically competent, and who does the boat speed go for first. The rain has just started to come down on the course. You can see a lot of umbrellas and things going up. So that's another thing to think about. You can see that flag on the crossing points just starting to flap around a bit more. The wind is picking up as some of the clouds come over. But at the moment, Marlow has a bit of an advantage, but really not much to bank on.
So race 309 was the first of the quarter-finals. That saw Shiplake College beat Henley Rowing Club. Time was 4:32 and the distance was 2.5 lengths. The next race up, the other quarter, was Wallingford Sir William Perkins A, and that was a win for Wallingford. Time was 4:37 and the distance was 1.5 lengths.
Yeah, so back to our screens now. You've got Marlow and York City, and you can see both crews are hurt. You can see both crews are hurting. You can see both crews are tired. It's like I said earlier, you can just see the umpire there having a bit of an arm workout. Marlow have just drifted into the middle of the course. It's just pushed York City out towards the booms, which are never nice to make friends with. But currently, Marlow with a bit of an advantage. But both of these crews are still in contact. I don't think there's clear water yet.
But there's a fair bit of water now coming down from the sky. So this is our first heavy shower since racing has begun, and it is coming down pretty heavy as the next race gets underway in this, the last quarter-final heat of the junior quads. It sees St Edward's School against Sir William Borlase. St Edward's, there you can see in shot, are on the Berkshire station, and over on the middle of the course we have Sir William Borlase, and it's St Edward's being warned by the umpire just to move over, but it's the wind has picked up a little bit with this rain as well, so conditions just like that within the space of literally a couple of minutes. You were waxing lyrical about beautiful calm conditions and how the sun was poking its nose out. Now we've got what is a pretty heavy shower.
Yeah, you're going to get some quite squally wind as well, which I think is potentially what the umpire was just concerned about there. You can see how bouncy the umpire's launch is getting. Because I don't think St Edwards were in any danger of clattering into ball lays, but it's just preemptive. Because like we said earlier, there is a gap about halfway down the course, and quite a few crews today have been taken by surprise by some gusty wind. But at the moment, it looks like St Edwards with a lead of about a length. But up on our screen now, we have the finish of the previous race, Marlow and York City, and it's going to be a relatively comfortable win there for Marlow Rowing Club, about a length and a half over York City. That's a fantastic row out from them. You know, York pushed them all the way to the line, but ultimately Marlow take the win in that quarter-final. But we come back down the course.
That was a win there for, as you say, Marlow over York City. Marlow by a length. The time was 4:35. So we're back to Sir William Borlase and St Edwards, and Teddy's out in front.
Yeah, looking quite comfortable at the moment. They've not dropped the rate at all. They're looking very racy at the moment, and it's doing a lot for them. There's quite a large gap between them and Borlase's A-boat at the moment. So yeah, looking quite comfortable for Teddy's there. Borlase didn't race yesterday. Their opponents scratched, so had what amounted to quite a gentle paddle down the course. They looked quite relaxed by all accounts, but they're going to have come out today hoping to put in a good show against St Edwards. But it is St Edwards Boat Club that's currently leading this race.
Next batch of races we have for you is the Junior Double Skulls quarterfinals. That sees Newark, Trentham, Marlow against Peterborough, Wallingford against York City, and Clares Court against Warrington. That batch of races due to start in a couple of minutes. Meanwhile, on the course it is St Edward's School Quad just heading towards the finish. Comfortable lead, saving their energy for the semi-finals.
Yeah, so they're going to be out racing again at about 1 o'clock. So really not very long. They're going to come off the water, refuel, and just spend some time, hopefully under some shade out of this rain, but just resting and relaxing, getting themselves ready for their next row.
Well, that shower seems to have passed or be passing. So they got a bit of weather, these girls, during their race. So up towards the finish line, last few strokes. There's St Edwards. Meanwhile, down at the start, the Junior Double Skulls has got underway.
Yes, that's the first of our Junior Double Skulls for the day. So it's Newark Rowing Club and Trentham Boat Club. Newark on the Berkshire station, so on the bank side, Trentham on the town side. So you can see on your screen there, that's Trentham Boat Club, and then just creeping into shot, Newark. It's looking real close at the moment. That was quite a snappy start from both crews, just coming out from the end of the island. At the moment, it looks to be Trentham Boat Club.
The last of the quarter-finals there, the official result was that it was a win for St Edward's School over Sir William Borlase Marlow. The distance was 3 lengths and the time was 4:41. final one then of the junior double sculls as they pass our commentary position.
Just about a length there, advantage to Trentham Boat Club over Newark Rowing Club. Trentham obviously rowing on that incredibly picturesque lake out near Stoke-on-Trent and the Trentham estate. So potentially not that used to sort of large river conditions. Certainly things like the stream are going to be playing a big part in their races over the course of the day. But at the moment, it's not having too much an effect because they are leading Newark Rowing Club by just over a length.
First of the quarterfinals then of the junior double sculls, Newark and Trentham. Next up we have Marlow and Peterborough.
So on the right of your screen there, we can just see the race between Newark and Trentham, but on the left we can pick up Peterborough versus Marlow Rowing Club B. And they've just gone past us in the commentary tower, and at the moment it's a relatively comfortable lead for Peterborough. That looked about 2 lengths on the way past the commentary tower. Peterborough just making the umpire get the flag out there. It's a bit difficult to see from this angle, but it does look like they've just drifted into the centre of the course. On the right of your screen, you can just see Newark Rowing Club and Trentham Boat Club as they come up towards the finish. But all eyes on Peterborough at the moment as they put in quite a comfortable lead at the moment over Marlow Rowing Club B. And with that, you can just see Newark and Trentham come across the line, and it's going to be a win for Trentham. So they're going to be going through to the semi-finals later this afternoon. But back to the race at hand, Marlow Rowing Club and Peterborough. Marlow Rowing Club on the Berkshire station, so on the bank side, Peterborough on the town side, so sort of to the left of your picture, sort of furthest away from the bank. And it's looking like quite a healthy lead at the moment for Peterborough Rowing Club. So for those of you just joining us, welcome to the 3rd day of the Henley Women's Regatta 2021 finals day. We've got a packed day of racing here, most crews doing 2 or 3 races in the day. So it's going to be quite heavy on the legs. We've got coming up for you just before lunchtime. We've got the remainder of the junior doubles, the junior coxed fours, the junior singles, the J16 coxed fours, coxless quads, and some lightweight singles and doubles. But up on your screen at the moment is the second quarter-final of the junior doubles. That's Marlow Rowing Club B and Peterborough. At the moment, Peterborough Rowing Club with a comfortable lead over Marlow Rowing Club. You can see there they've brought the rate right down. I think they're going to be quite painfully aware of the fact they've got 2 more races coming up in the day, so you don't want to spend all your energy on the first race, but it's looking like a couple of lengths now. Marlow Rowing Club, though, pushing them all the way. They've not completely dropped off the back. And you can just see there on the left of your screen, we're picking up the next race on the course, which is Wallingford Rowing Club and York City Rowing Club. So Wallingford Rowing Club on the Berkshire station, closest to the bank, and York City Rowing Club on the Bucks station, farthest away. That's a really sharp start there from Wallingford Rowing Club. Very quick through the water. York Rowing Club, maybe a bit longer, slightly more powerful. The umpire just getting their flag out there, I think maybe a bit preemptively. York City there just starting to drift into the middle of the course, but they've responded to the umpire's call quite well. But at the moment, it's looking pretty much dead level. And you can just see on the right of your picture there as the race between Marlow and Peterborough comes to its conclusion. Peterborough just paddling their way over the line. So it's going to be a verdict of a couple of lengths there to Peterborough Rowing Club over Marlow Rowing Club B. But back to race 315. It's just gone full screen on your screen. It's Wallingford Rowing Club, just on the right of your picture, and York City Rowing Club on the left. And as they come past the commentary tower, it is an advantage to Wallingford Rowing Club. It's not a big advantage. There's definitely still some overlap. So they're not out of the woods yet. It puts them in quite a dangerous position, actually, when you have that overlap between the two boats, when you have that contact. Mentally, it is so much easier for the boat behind to just pick up that extra couple of feet, and then they're level, and then potentially they're ahead. But at the moment, Wallingford look to be moving quite well. They're just moving a little bit better through the water. They're just a little bit more composed, a little bit tighter at the catch, and every stroke just adding inches to that gap. So they've, in the last couple of 100 metres, they've opened up that advantage from just under a length to maybe about 2 lengths. They're moving really well at the moment. York City just aren't quite as lively through the water. They still look clean, they still look tidy, but there just isn't quite as much power behind each stroke. Wallingford, on the other hand, really powerful through the water. They're just eking out that advantage. Every single stroke, they're just moving further and further away. It's a fantastic shot there. The sun has come out, the showers have passed over, so we've got perfect rowing weather at the moment. There's no real breeze to speak of. Wallingford sticking a little bit close to the booms there. Can get a little bit risky, but at the moment, gap between Wallingford Rowing Club and York City Rowing Club sits at about a couple lengths. And just the official result of the previous race, so race 314. It was a win for Peterborough over Marlow Rowing Club B by a verdict of about 2.5 lengths. And a time of 5 minutes 3 seconds. So quite a quick race by all accounts. But we'll come back to the race at hand. 3:15, Wallingford Rowing Club and York City Rowing Club. Wallingford Rowing Club with a relatively healthy lead over York City. A couple of lengths. And just see that excellent shot as the drone pans up. But we're going to go back down the course to our next race of the day. It's the last quarter-final of the junior doubles. Clare's Court on the Berkshire station, so on the towpath side, and Warrington Rowing Club on the Bucks station, so on the left of your screen there. Both crews off to very comparative start. I don't think there's really much to call between either of them at the moment. If I had to say something, I'd say Clare's Court potentially slightly quicker off the draw, but no more than half a canvas between the two boats at the moment, so really close in those first couple of 100 metres. So that's race 316, that's not long gone past the commentary caravan and is now up on your screens. It's our last quarterfinal of the day for the junior doubles. Clare's Court, closest to you on the picture, and Warrington Rowing Club, farthest away, just off to the right of your screen at the moment. It looked very close the first sort of couple of 100 metres. They came past us and there was no more than half a length in it. And honestly, at the moment, I think there might still be some overlap. Clare's Court got out quite quickly, up to sort of half a length relatively early on. But Warrington haven't let them get away with the race just yet. They've stuck with them a long way down this course. And it does put Clare's Court, like we said earlier, in a fair amount of danger. You know, things can change quickly. It only takes one poor stroke from Clare's Court and Warrington will be back on top of them. So Clare's Court are really going to want to break contact and put some distance between the two boats at this moment.
Quarter-final then, junior double sculls. In the earlier quarters, Trenton Boat Club went on to win. 2.5 lengths, time was 5:03. Sorry, 5:04. The second quarter-final was Peterborough, who beat Marlow. The time there was 5:03 and the distance was 2.5 lengths. And then the previous race to this was a win for Wallingford. They won in 5:11 and distance 2.5 lengths. And we're watching now on the course Clare's Court and Warrington Rowing Club. Clare's Court at the bottom of the screen, just paddling light and heading towards the finish line. The next up are the junior coxed fours. This is Enniskillen Royal Grammar School of Ireland against Glasgow Academy.
Yeah, it's up.
Right, so we have Enniskillen against Glasgow.
Yeah, so both crews coming quite a long old way to get here. But already a fairly commanding lead as they come up to the commentary tower for Glasgow Academy at the moment. Glasgow Academy, a fantastic junior rowing programme. with some real history at this regatta, and at Henley Royal as well, doing quite well in various quads. But at the moment, it's about a 2.5 length lead to the Glasgow Academy over the Enniskillen Royal Boat Club. Glasgow Academy had that fantastic race yesterday against Walton Rowing Club. Really comfortable, got out to a fantastic early lead, really just dominated the race the whole way down, opened up clear water really early on, and it's exactly what they're doing here. They got out of the blocks incredibly quickly, put clear water between them and Enniskillen, and are now just quite happy to sit there, really. So it's just come up on the left of your screen there, what should be race 318 between Kingston Grammar School and Aberdeen, but we've been informed that Kingston have scratched, so Aberdeen are going to go for a quick paddle down the course, closely followed by the umpire's boat, but it's just going to be a nice run out for them this morning. They'll be coming back at 1:30 at 1:26 to race against the winners of the race between Enniskillen and the Glasgow Academy, which is just on the right of your picture there. Glasgow with a very commanding lead at the moment over Enniskillen. They've brought the rate right down. They're looking really comfortable. They're probably going to be thinking about their next race already, you know, thinking about refueling, thinking about just chilling out for the rest of the morning and getting their heads settled for later in the afternoon. And there you've just got Glasgow coming across the line. Fairly comfortable lead over Enniskillen.
So to round up the results, the final quarter-final round of the Junior Double Sculls, it was Clare's Court that went on to win 2.5 lengths, and the time was 5:06. In the first of the quarterfinals for the Junior Cots Fours, that was indeed a win for Glasgow Academy. The distance was 3 lengths, and the time was 4 minutes 50. Okay, and underway, it's next quarter-final race of the Junior Cots Fours, Marlow Rowing Club and the Scottish Composite. Scottish Composite of George Heriot, George Watson are on the Buckinghamshire station, nearest to the towpath, and actually getting very, very close to the paths and the booms there are Marlow, but Marlow have put in a good strong push, bucket rig boat, really smashing their way down the course, sending some huge puddles down, and it's coxed, so you can see where he's going. He also likes being close to the bank, and it seems to be paying off at the moment as they approach us, they're leading by about a length.
Yeah, well, the Cox is in the front, it means you can just run about down through the water, and it's exactly what this Marlow is. We've seen sort of two main strategies crop up in races across this weekend. There's the grind strategy of sort of go out hard and just maintain the whole way down the course, you know, grind a win out of your opponent, and there's what Marlow looks to be doing right now, which is absolutely hammer your way out of those blocks, open up that early advantage, but clear water between you and your opponent, and then sit off their bow and just control the race the whole way down. And that's exactly what Marlow have done here. They went out super hard, their cocks drove that incredibly straight line, really close to the booms, really close to the bank. It's more sheltered, the water's slightly flatter. They've taken full advantage of that, and they've put some real distance between them and the Scottish Composite.
Yeah, Marlow not letting up here. They're really hammering home their advantage, having a decent workout. A couple of more races to go, so they might want to think about just conserving a bit of energy, but well, they're very happy at the moment, just ploughing their way down the course with what is probably now over 2 lengths lead as they move to the end of the boating enclosure, and they've probably got about a third of the race still to go.
Yeah, and we just said earlier about those copses, you can see how straight a line Marlow are driving, but the Scottish Composite on the other hand, maybe just not as used to the conditions, not as used to the water, just taking a slightly more circuitous route, and it just puts extra meters on your race. It saps the boat speed because you're having to put the rudder on, and just ends up making you row a little bit further. So Marlow really at the moment riding that perfect race. They went out hard, they put some real distance between them and the Scottish Composite, and it's just been a real masterclass at the moment, and even the rowing looks fantastic from them. So that's a top class boat really. So hopefully going to see this go quite far. They beat Latimer Upper yesterday in the heats, and we should be expecting to go on to be racing later this afternoon in the semi-finals.
Down at the start, we are about to get underway with Henley Rowing Club and Tideway Scullers School, and they're off with Tideway Scullers over on the Buckinghamshire station, Henley nearest the towpath, Berkshire station, Junior Cots Fours the last of the quarter-finals, and Henley, after the first half a dozen strokes, probably just about got a canvas lead. Interesting there that the Cotses, who should have their hands up because they're not straight, quite a few of the crew decided to turn around and join in, and that's probably not what the coach would want to see. Anyway, all eyes in the boat now, and Tideway Scullers seem to have settled into their rhythm.
Yeah, that looked like an early lead there for Henley, maybe by about half a canvas, but Scullers just look to have a slightly more powerful race pace and have just eked their noses ahead. It looks like maybe half a canvas back to Tideway Scullers, so it was a great start there from Henley. But ultimately...
Good start from Henley, but Scullers, as you say, settled down into a rhythm and probably being more efficient at this stage. Henley just need to be aware not to let them go. Put in a bit more now as Scullers pass me, and there's overlap, so it's about 3/4 of a length to Tideway Scullers as they've gone through the first third of this race.
Yeah, it looks like Scullers have currently got the momentum, but you can just see there on the right of your picture, if we go back up a race, that was Marlow versus the Scottish Composite, and that'll be a win for Marlow Rowing Club. But back to Scullers and Henley. At the moment, still Scullers up by over a length. There's clear water between the boats now. Scullers went through a phase. They had some fantastic momentum as they came past us. You know, they were walking through Henley. But whether that burst has just come to its end or whether Henley sort of picked the rate up, they saw the danger and just wanted to put a stop to that march by Tideway Scullers. Whatever's happened, that gap's not getting much bigger at the moment. So we can see Tideway Scullers there rowing really well. They went out really quickly, opened up quite a sizable lead, but if we just sort of draw back to a wider angle, you can see that there's a relatively large gap between them and Henley Rowing Club now.
Yeah, there's Tideway Scullers winding down, going towards the finish. We've got singles down at the start for the next round of races. This is the junior single sculls, Parker Elms of Radnor House and Mills of Reading Rowing Club. And the single scullers at the start. For this, the first of the quarterfinals for the junior single sculls. Radnor House nearest to us, and Mills of Reading, she's over on the Buckinghamshire station, nearest to the Temple Estate boats. Holding on to the single sculls. The sculls will wait until they're nicely lined up and ready. See the umpire there on the right, the flag is up, the flag is dropped and they're away. Right, now let's watch this start. Short strokes, steering. Ooh.
So they're just getting a little bit close there. The umpire's going to be having an arm workout just to keep them apart. You saw Lena Mills from Reading Rowing Club just glance across just to see where Imogen Parker Elms and where she was going. You saw it again. So sculling, certainly single sculls on a course like this, it is incredibly gladiatorial. You know, you're not 6 lanes wide, sort of in your own race, very far apart from everyone. Certainly right at the start in single sculls, it is you versus one other person. It is all about what they're doing. And at the moment, Lena Mills from Reading Rowing Club has gone out quite hard, quite early. has put in some distance between her and Imogen Parker-Elms from Radnor House.
Race 319 then for the junior Cotswolds was a win for Marlow Rowing Club, 3/4 of a length. Time not taken according to my record here. And race 320, that was a win for Tideway Scullers School. It was 2.5 lengths and time was 5:04. First round, first quarter-final heat of the single sculls sees Imogen on the Berkshire, sorry, I got confused. Imogen on the towpath side, and Lena Mills, who led off the start, a little bit close together. Umpire separated them. Now she's got a couple of lengths lead, and will probably play a little bit of cat and mouse because she's got to conserve her energy for the races coming up a little later on today. And after that showery spell we had earlier, a bit of blue sky now down and on the course.
Yeah, umbrellas have gone away, sun cream's back out, and generally quite a nice day. We obviously had some fantastic weather on Friday for the time trials, a little bit more blustery yesterday for the early heats and quarterfinals, but today I think a lot of these athletes are going to be praying for the rain because they're going to be putting a lot of work in. Some of these women have got 3 races today, so really a packed day. Certainly if you're in the final it's going to be quite exhausting, and at the moment it is Lena Mills from Reading Rowing Club that's going to be making her way potentially into the next semi-final.
Down at the start we've got the next quarter-final which has just got underway. Taylor of George Heriot's and Fullman of Wycliffe Junior Rowing Club.
So we said earlier about those two sort of race strategies, and it was very much George Heriot's, so Taylor from George Heriot's that went for that hard and fast start to put some early distance between her and her competitor from Wycliffe. So that's Heather Taylor from George Heriot's School and Ella Fullman from the Wycliffe Junior Rowing Club, and at the moment it is Heather Taylor with the early lead. On the right of your picture there you can just see Lena Mills from Reading Rowing Club coming up towards the finish. She's dropped it down to sort of a rate of the low 20s, just down to a paddle. Fairly sizable gap between her and Imogen Parker-Elms from Radnor House. But on the left, as we see the boats come past the commentary tower, it looks like Heather Taylor has opened up some clear water between her and Ella Fullman. So that's been a fantastic start from her there. You just see a little wobble there, maybe just as the wind catches her, but at the moment there is clear water, so that's been a fantastic start for the sculler from George Heriot's there.
The first of the quarterfinals results has just come through, and this was a win for Lena Mills of Reading Rowing Club. And the distance was 1 1/4 lengths. The time was 5 minutes 42.
So we're picking up race 322, the second quarter-final of the day for the junior singles. Heather Taylor of George Heriot's School leading Ella Fullman of the Wycliffe Junior Rowing Club about 2 or 3 lengths, but on the left of your screen we have the next singles race. We're back down at the start, so race 323. We have Annie Bates from Reading Rowing Club on the Berkshire station, so on the towpath side, and Zoe Sheshka from Tideway Scullers School on the Buckinghamshire station, so just on the left of your picture, on the left-hand side of the course. And it is the sculler from Tideway with the early lead, but you can just see on the right of your picture there the quarter-final between Taylor and Fullman coming to its conclusion. Coming towards its conclusion, it's very much going to be Heather Taylor from the George Heriot School that takes that win in the quarter-final as they come towards the finish. But up towards us at the commentary tower on the left-hand side of your screen, and it's a very early lead for Zoe Sheshka from Tideway Scullers School. Annie Bates isn't letting her get away with it yet. There's still some fight there. There is open water, but singles are known for their acceleration, how quickly they can adapt to conditions. You know, just the slightest input from the sculler in them can change the boat massively. So it's not all over for Annie Bates yet from Reading Rowing Club, but Zoe Sheshka from Tideway Scullers School has opened up a fairly sizable lead. Yeah, you can see from the overhead shot there, we're up to about 3 or 4 lengths to the sculler from Scullers. So she's going to look to move just into the middle of the course now, into that slightly flatter water, and to just dominate the race at the moment. And we just saw there disappear from the right of your picture Heather Taylor from George Heriot's, crossing the line a couple of lengths ahead of Ella Fullman from Wycliffe Junior Rowing Club. But Zoe Sheshka up on your screen at the moment, really dominating this race. Tideway Scullers, fantastic women's programme, fantastic junior programme, obviously rowing out on the Tideway in central London. So she's going to be no stranger to choppy water, but that's not a lot of what we're seeing today. It looks quite nice, quite flat out there. Annie Bates, Reading Rowing Club, hasn't travelled a huge distance, only down the road, but it's all the Thames, all the same. But Zoe Sheshka at the moment with a a fairly sizable advantage over Annie Bates from Reading Rowing Club. Zoe Sheshka has got some experience at this regatta as well. She won Junior Quads in 2019 and in November 2019, so just a little before COVID happened. She won the long distance GB trial, and in May 2021 this year, got a real big feather to put in her cap. She was the fastest junior sculler at the GB trials, so really some fantastic pedigree. And Annie Bates from Reading Rowing Club doing a fantastic job just to really keep on the same page as her at the moment. This has been a fantastic row from Zoe Sheshka, but she's going to be thinking already of the next race today. Like we said, this is the third quarter-final of the junior singles, so with the semi-finals this afternoon at about 1 o'clock, and then the finals later about 3:30. So quite a packed day of racing for all of these rowers and scullers out here today. But Zoe Sheshka from Tideway Scullers School just dominating this race at the moment. And back on the start, we have our fourth and final junior single quarter-final. It is Annie Faye Cowell of Walbrook Rowing Club and Ellie Cook from Peterborough City Rowing Club. And it's looking a little bit closer, this one. It looks like the sculler from Peterborough with an early advantage, maybe half a length. Not a huge amount at the moment. But almost immediately there. Anna Faye Cowell from Walbrook put in a little burst. She's just picked the rate up and is coming back onto terms relatively quickly. That's a really quick response from her there. The sculler from Peterborough had a really quick start, up to half a length almost immediately. Some really big power strokes from Ellie Cook. Those first 10 to 20 seconds of the race, but already Anna Cowell from Walbrook Rowing Club, as we come past the commentary tower now, has eaten up a lot of that advantage. It's only about a third of a length at the moment, maybe a canvas to Peterborough. So the sculler from Peterborough City, Ellie Cook, Anna Faye Cowell, Annie Faye Cowell there, eating into that advantage. She just didn't have quite as quick a start. Potentially a few wobbly strokes initially, but she's now matching them. They're now matching each other stroke for stroke, and actually, if I had to call it, I'd say that looks like the sculler from Walbrook, Annie Cowell, has taken the lead from Ellie Cook. So that was a fantastic sort of couple of 100 metres of rowing there from Annie Cowell. She was a little bit down off the start, a couple of feet, maybe half a length, and she has just rowed her way through Ellie Cook from Peterborough City, and looks to just to be moving. She's kept on moving. She's kept on opening out that advantage she's now gained. She's going to want to put clear water between herself and Annie Cowell. She's going to want to make it really difficult for the sculler from Walbrook to have any thoughts of coming back into the race. You can see from sort of the overhead drone shot there that there is now clear water, so that's a fantastic couple of 100 metres of sculling from Annie Cowell. You know, she was down off the start, but she kept her head in the boat, head in the race. Put in some fantastic power strokes really early on to take her back on to level with Ellie Cook, and has now settled into a really fantastic rhythm. It's slightly lower rating than Annie Cowell, but it's working out for her, and she's starting to put distance between the two boats now. So we're back on the start, and we have our first J16 Coxtfall quarter-final of the day. For those of you that just joining us, welcome to the third day of the Henley Women's Regatta 2021, our finals day. Got a packed day of quarterfinals, semi-finals, and finals. Some of these women are going to be racing 3 times in the day, and we've got on your screen, just on the left, we have Yarm School, closest to us, just off to the right of your picture, and Latimer Upper on the Buckinghamshire station.
I'll just round up a few results here for us. So let's go back to race number 322. Race number 322. That was a win for Taylor on the Berkshire station. 2.5 lengths, the time was 5:36. Junior Single Skulls race 323. That was a win for Tideway Scullers School. Got it there as easily, the time was 5:42. And just finishing up now, we still have the race between Walborough Roanblock and Peterborough underway. Yarm, Latimer. This is the J16 Fours. Now this was very entertaining racing yesterday, nice and close. No fear, these young ladies, just go for it. And this is really, really close. So as they pass us, the crews were pretty much level. Maybe just a couple of feet to the crew on the Berkshire station, but it's close stuff, this. Yarm and Latimer. Yarm just leaning into it. There's a slight breeze out there, nothing too much. Cox at the front, steering a nice course. Really, really close stuff. So nobody yet gone for a real push.
No, you can see the boats sort of surging under the strokes there, but no one appears to have sort of the momentum over the other boat. It's quite static at the moment, so it's going to be down to who makes that call first and who manages to make it stick. We've just seen up at the finish in that race between Annie Cowell and Ellie Cook.
And it was a win for Annie Cowell of Walbrook. The time is given as 5:53, and the verdict there was 1.5 lengths. So we're on to the quarterfinals of the J16 Coxed Fours. Yarm and Latimer Upper. And from the shot there, we can see that again, really, really close. Latimer looked to have made a bit of a push. Not easy from that angle to see who's leading it. Possibly is still Yarm, but really not much in this one. A really, really good tight race as the crews head down now with about a third of the race still to go.
Yeah, so Yarm School had an absolute barnstormer of a race yesterday against Henley Rowing Club. Final verdict, 3 feet. So they're going to be potentially feeling a little bit heavy in the legs this morning because they had to race that the whole way down. But at the moment, it's not had a massive effect on them. It's still relatively neck and neck.
Next race is underway. This is the next quarter-final, which sees Surbiton High School A against Surbiton High School B. So that's a little bit unfortunate that they've drawn their schoolmates, club mates in this.
Yeah, we've had a few unlucky draws this weekend. So early on Friday, we had, I think, 2 occasions of Vesta A racing Vesta B.
But looking at the top of the screen there, it looks like Latimer have made a move and gone for a push and have gone through Yarm to take the lead by about 1/4 length. So that's a race where we have seen the position change, and we haven't seen too much of that, to be fair. We've seen some close racing, but we've not seen the position change too much. However, here, Latimer have gone through Yarm and look to be moving away as they head towards the finish. Coming up towards us now, it's Surbiton A with a lead of just over a length over Surbiton B. But we're going to look at that finish of first of the quarterfinals, Yarm and Latimer. Latimer there now just crossing the finish line, and that was about a length. So that was a really, really good effort there for Latimer Upper. They go through to the semi-final, and they will face the winner of the next race, which is an all-Surbiton affair.
Yeah, so like we've said, it's going to be potentially for the women in the boat. It's going to be a done deal already. They're going to have been racing against each other all season. They're going to have been erging against each other all season. They're going to know who the quickest is. So it's a little bit unfortunate that they've ended up on the same side of the draw together, but that is just the luck of the draw.
The official result there was that Latimer Upper beat Yarm. The official distance 1 1/4 lengths, and the time was 5:09.
So yeah, looking at some quite quick semi-finals and quarter-finals today. So setting us up for some really good finals later in the afternoon. And you can see just on your screen, Surbiton A leading Surbiton B by a verdict of maybe just a couple of lengths at the moment. So Surbiton B are by no means going to let their schoolmates walk away with this. You know, they're going to push them all the way to the line. It's going to be their chance to show their coaching staff that maybe we should have, you know, maybe we should have been considered for that A boat too. At the moment, it's very much Surbiton A leading out this race.
So we're halfway through the quarter-finals of the J16 Cox 4s. Tideway Scullers School and Marlow up next. And then finally, I beg your pardon, so this is the last of the J16. Yeah, it's just these two, isn't it, that go through to the next round, the way that they've split the draw. Yarm Latimer. Latimer across the line first, Surbiton A, Surbiton B, Surbiton A leading. Next up is the J16 Quads. This is Tideway Scullers against Marlow. They're down at the start waiting to get underway as we see Surbiton A paddling away towards the finish. Tideway Scullers and Marlow underway. This is the semi-final of the J16 Quads. Tideway Scullers School, Berkshire Station, Marlow in red on the Buckinghamshire Station. Close again, not much in this at all as they've gone off the start. Both rating pretty high, if anything Marlow rating maybe a pip or two higher than Tideway Scullers. Tideway Scullers look to have the boat speed at the moment, do they, as they pass there? There's not much in that at all. Maybe, I don't know, what do you reckon, a canvas?
Yeah, there's really not much between the two crews at the moment. If I had to say, I'd say Tideway Scullers maybe moving a little bit more smoothly through the water, but like you said, it's down to a few feet at the moment. They're getting a little bit close there in the middle. Just see the umpire warning Marlow just to return to their station, just to keep the two crews apart. But at the moment, as they come past the commentary tower, it's bow ball to bow ball, head to head. There's really nothing between the two crews at the moment. And that's been a cracking start for both of them. You can see there from that shot, Tideway Scullers being very aggressive with their steering, pushing Marlow right out onto their station. Tideway Scullers just trying to take advantage of that water down the middle of the course, trying to put some mental pressure on the women from Marlow. Scullers just return back to their station there, but again, it's still neck and neck, maybe a foot to Scullers at the moment. They've both had a fantastic start and have stuck neck and neck with each other. Tideway Scullers and Marlow yesterday in their quarterfinals, both pulling very similar times. Tideway Scullers won yesterday, time of 4:49. Marlow in the time of 4:46. So there's really not a huge amount between them at the moment. I think Scullers potentially with a foot or two, but there's really no momentum with either boat. You know, no one's going anywhere for the moment. This is looking to be a real barnstorm. This is so close at the moment. I want to keep saying that Marlow or Tideway are moving, but it's the surge of the stroke, and then the next one picks up. So, but would you say that might be Marlow there by a couple of inches?
It's hard to say. I mean, the boat is dark, so you can't actually see right where the tip of the boat is. But from that shot, it maybe looks like Marlow and 2 feet. The interesting thing is that they're getting a wee bit close together here, so the umpire is going to have to work to keep them apart. Marlow look to have taken the hint and have just veered back more onto their station.
I think that might have been a move from Marlow though. That they're up a couple of seats, maybe half a length, and they've got the momentum. They are moving.
Yeah, now this is a decent sprint in here for the finish. The pictures sort of keep flickering, but there we go. So Marlow, they're the ones that have gone for it early, I would suggest. Nicely controlled, really, really good sculling. But Scullers, you know, this isn't over. Scullers will dig deep. Remember, this for a place in the final. You don't get over the line first, you're going home. So what have they got in the tank? Marlow still continue to lead. It's probably about half a length.
Yeah, I'd
no
say
more.
half a length at the moment. Marlow might have timed this absolutely perfectly. They stuck with Scullers the whole way down the course. They just picked the rate up slightly, a little bit more power in the water, and they've put half a length into Scullers. It doesn't look like they're moving any further, but certainly they are up, and we're back at the start just very quickly for race 328. It's Kingston Grammar School versus Hinksey Sculling School. Kingston Grammar School just on the right of the picture there. It looked like Hinksey Sculling School have taken a slightly wide line there coming out of the start. Maybe just a few problems with steering just initially.
I'm watching here the top right hand screen, and I can see that Marlow heading towards the line, but they've Scullers have closed the gap. It's there's a bit of overlap there, but they crossed the line and they've closed that to about 3/4 lengths. That was a tremendous race, and the winners there going through to the next round. So that will be Marlow Rowing Club, and they will face the winners of Kingston and Hinksey. We can see that on the course at the moment. Kingston nearest to us, Hinksey far side. Another real close one as they come up to us. It's Kingston with a very slight advantage, but not too much at all in this one. Now then, the challenge here is not to let them get away. Kingston looked really good yesterday. I saw them racing. They must fancy themselves to pick up the trophy here. But first of all, they've got to get over Hinksey Sculling School, and they are at the moment a length ahead.
Yeah, so Hinksey had some interesting steering coming off the start, and that looks like it has hurt them. They're down half a length. The distance isn't changing at the moment. Maybe Kingston just moving that little bit quicker, but Hinksey certainly aren't out of the running at the moment. There's still overlap, there's still contact.
The last of these semis, or the previous race, was a win for Marlow, 3/4 length. The time was 4:48. But Kingston Grammar School here, they push in now. They've got open water as they're heading down towards the boating area and about the halfway point in this race. I'm not sure what went on there. There seems to be a wee bit of steering error with the Hinksey crew. Marlow, Kingston taken advantage there, and Hinksey got it all to do here, I suspect. It's about a length and a quarter that Kingston led from the start, pushed away, made a bit of a push at about a third of the distance. At the halfway, they've gone again. And as you can see from the shot there, it's now just over a length. However, the steering on both crews, they have, look at that, there's
oh wow, yeah, no, Kingston
there's a bit of a zigzag here.
Kingston have whipped right out to the edge. It looks like that potentially there might have just been a few dodgy strokes in there that's just dragged the boat round slightly.
Well, funnily enough, they both did it at the same time, and it looked like there was no gap. So I think they both, I don't know, maybe they're getting a bit tired at this stage, but the steering here, Hinksey, you can see are sort of weaving a wee bit. Kingston, whether they've been looking at them and copying them, but yeah, this could end up being a little bit interesting at the finish. Kingston with the lead still. It's just about a length, maybe a little bit of overlap now. So Hinksey not out of this. Kingston need to just concentrate, keep it going. It's got to hurt now. They're almost 4 minutes down this course. Not too much further to go. Hinksey trying to have a push, but it looks to me as if Kingston have probably done enough.
Yeah, so we're just going to hop back up to the start now. We've got our first heat of the aspirational lightweight singles. There is Sasha Kennedy from the University of Surrey on the Berkshire station, and Hazel Wake from the Oxford University Lightweight Women's Rowing Club. And it's been a cracking start for both of them. You can see from that drone shot as they come up towards the spectators' enclosure that there is still overlap, but we're just going to pick up the finish now for the previous race. That's Kingston Grammar School and Hinksey Sculling School, and that looked like a relatively comfortable win there for Kingston Grammar School. We saw early on them stick really close together. There was some wobbly steering in the middle, but ultimately Kingston is out on top. But we're back with first of our aspirational lightweight singles, and I'm just going to welcome our new commentator for this afternoon, Jack. Nice to see you.
Hello, pleased to be joining you, Alex.
So we've had a pretty good roster of races today. There's been some real close fights, and we can just see coming past the commentary tower now another relatively close fight. So I said we've got Sasha Kennedy on the Berkshire station from the University of Surrey, so that's the right of your picture at the moment, and Hazel Wake from Oxford University on the left of your picture. Both of these girls raced in the same event last weekend at the Berkshire Regatta. It was a real good fight there. Sasha Kennedy came away with silver, Hazel Wake came away with bronze, so can only say that Hazel Wake's potentially out for revenge today, and at the moment it does look like it's going to be a repeat of last week, because Sasha Kennedy has about a 2.5 length lead.
Yeah, and this about a third of the way into the course now as they come through the spectator zone and into the competitor area where all the boats are stored. So we're now going into that kind of middle third of this race. I think it's the window starting to close for opportunities to come back here in this fight. A real move needed by Wake if she wants to push back here in this battle.
Yeah, and so for those of you just joining us, welcome to the third day of the Henley Women's Regatta 2021. We're on to finals day, so we've got a lot of quarters, semis and finals for you at the moment, but this is race 329. And is the semi-final for the aspirational lightweight singles. Racing for the Fiona Dennis Trophy, you have Sasha Kennedy on the Berkshire station and Hannah Wake from Oxford on the Buckinghamshire station. And at the moment, it is Sasha Kennedy leading, Hazel Wake from Oxford University. It's Sasha Kennedy leading out this race by a couple of lengths. We had some rain earlier this morning that put a little bit of a dampener on some people's spirits, but it's looking a little less windy than it was yesterday, and the sun is trying to poke its way through the clouds, so some perfect rowing weather by all accounts.
You can still see there Sasha Kennedy out in front. Scarlett Hazel Wake. Fairly sizable lead for this stage in the race. Sasha Kennedy the opportunity to look back and push forward. Hazel Wake certainly not giving it to her easily. You can still see the rate quite high for Sasha there as she continues to push down the course. She can look out behind her and see the other sculler.
We're just picking up the start there on the left of your picture of the second semi-final of the aspirational lightweight singles.
So in this second semi-final we have Wallingford Rowing Club taking on Thames Rowing Club. Again competing in the aspirational lightweight single sculls.
Yeah, so we have Tuncha Thiessen from Wallingford Rowing Club on the Berkshire station, so currently closest to your picture, and Natalie Morgan from Thames Rowing Club, just furthest away from us on the other side of the course, and it's currently Tuncha Thiessen with a lead of about, I'd say about a length as they came past us.
Okay, we're looking here at the singles sculls. I'm just going to give you a roundup of some of the results. We'll go back to race number 321. That was the junior singles sculls. That was a win for Mills of Reading. The distance was 1.25 lengths, time was 5:42. Race number 322. That was a win for Taylor of George Heriot's, and the time was 5:36, distance was 2.5 lengths. Race 323, verdict easily, time 5:54, that was Tideway Scullers School, Sheshka. And Cowell of Walbrook Rowing Club was the winner of race 324, 5:09, 1¼ lengths. We then had the semi-finals of the J16 Coxed Fours. Race 325 was a win for Latimer Upper. That was in a time of 5:09. The distance was 1¼ lengths. And race 326, that was Somerton High School A against Somerton High School B. Win for the A crew, 4:58 and a time of 4½ lengths. We then went on to the J16 Quadruple Skulls, and in the J16 Quads race 327, it was a win for Marlow Rowing Club, 3/4 length, and the time was 4:48. In the other semi, race 328 was a win for Kingston Grammar School. It was 4:52 and the distance 1¼ length. Since then we've had race 329 go through. This was a win for Kennedy of Surrey University, 2 lengths, the time was 5:35, and on the course now we have race 330, Wallingford Rowing Club, I think it's pronounced Tijan, against Morgan of Thames Rowing Club.
Yeah, that race just coming into the finish line now. Tinsha Tierson out in front, about 1 length of Clearwater. She goes through the finish there, followed by Morgan of Thames Rowing Club. So Tinsha will go through to the next round of this event. But with that, we can look forward to the next race on the course. This is race 331 between Jennifer Hoffman of Oxford Brookes University and Olivia Bates of Nottinghamshire County Rowing Association. And there on your screen is the green of Notts County, setting off down the course, sculler number 319. And that is Olivia there. She is leading out the early stages of this race. They're coming up towards the halfway point, and she is about a length out in front of her competitor from Oxford Brookes, Jennifer Hoffman. But Oxford Brookes never to be underestimated in these races. It is the single sculls. Things can change very quickly. So we'll see how this race develops as we move down the course. But there, your camera just panning to show us Jennifer Hoffman of Oxford Brookes University, currently sat about a length back in this race for... we're now looking at the championship lightweight single sculls. So we've gone from aspirational to championship. These athletes at the top of their game here at Henley Women's 2021. So yeah, we've now moved on to semi-final races. So in each of these events, there are 4 athletes competing, but only 2 places in the final. Of course, the nature of Henley. There's no coming second place. There's no hanging on to a poorer lane in the final. It's win or out. So the first of these 2 scullers will go through to the final. The second will be eliminated from the event. On your screen, that's Notts County Rowing Association, represented by Olivia Bates. And just behind her, now about maybe a length of clear water back, is Jennifer Hoffman of Oxford Brookes University that you've just seen come into your picture there. This is race 331 for the Championship Lightweight Single Sculls, a semi-final.
ayer por caballo a los...
It's so quiet that you don't put any of this, and just that, like, so quiet.
Ya. Los está viendo.
Right, off you go.
So, two semi-finals of the Championship Lightweight Single Scull. Just going through the finish line there, that was the first race between Octa Brooks, Jennifer Hoffman and Olivia Bates of Notts County. And it was Olivia who won out in that semi-final and will go through to the final. So it's the Championship Lightweight Single Sculls. And the next race on the course is between Reading University's Lauren Madison and Upper Thames' Naomi Holland. And they are on the course now. It is Lauren Madison of Reading University who currently sits just out in front of Upper Thames. As they push on down the course, they're coming through the competitor area where all the boats are stored and pushing in towards the last third of their race here.
Yeah, good, strong competition here. Fast and Furious, it's the Championship Lightweight Double Sculls. Up next, this is Reading University against Nottingham County Rowing Association. That race has just got underway. The drone there showing that an early lead for Reading off the start. They're heading up through the boating enclosures. Probably not as many people here as yesterday. We had a few showers this morning. The weather's good now, holding good, not too windy. Pretty good conditions, to be fair.
Yeah, for the athletes, the real things that matter are the wind and the chop on the water. They won't be too worried about a little bit of rain over the course of their race, so showers are accepted here at Henley. But yeah, these athletes definitely making the most of the fairly smooth conditions on the water there. And you can see out in front the crew of Reading University, Lara Britton and Chloe Knight, leading on the left-hand picture. And indeed, it is actually Reading University leading on the right-hand picture as well in the single sculls. And that is Lauren Madison leading Naomi Holland in the Championship Lightweight Single Sculls on the right-hand side of your video. Well, there you go. That Championship Lightweight Single Sculls race is complete, and it will be Lauren Madison of Reading who goes through. So we'll turn our attention to this double sculls race. The distance separating two crews now a bit wider. Reading pulling out in front over the crew of Notts County Rowing Association. Some 2 lengths of clear water as they push on down the course. And they're now coming through the competitor area. So the middle third of their race here at Henley Women's 2021.
Yeah, just to round up the results from race... to round up the results from race 331. This was the Championship Lightweight Single Sculls. A win for Bates of Nottingham County Rowing Association. I wanted to say Nottingham Clubs then. I don't know. Nottingham Rowing Association. And the next result we had for you was... race number 332. So the other finalist there will be Madison of Reading University. We're looking now at the Championship Lightweight Double Sculls on the course Reading and Nottingham.
Absolutely. So Reading led in the previous semi-final for the Championship Lightweight Single Sculls. They're leading in this semi-final for the double sculls. And it is the crew of Lara Britton and Chloe Knight who are out in front of Notts County Rowing Association's Erin Thompson and Sienna Hayes. So a good day for Reading in these two events here. The first two semi-finals we're seeing pushed through the course in our shift. But Reading performing well here. Some 2 lengths to 3 lengths of clear water out in front of the green of Notts County Rowing Association. But off the start is the second semi-final in this event, and this will be between Cambridge University and Worcester University. You can see that in the left of your picture there.
Cambridge on the Berkshire station, Worcester on the Buckinghamshire stand. And it looks as though actually this is going to be a row over, I believe, for Cambridge. Just got some information here that Worcester have scratched. So Cambridge just rowing over here, so not a great deal to be said. If we look in the earlier race, it certainly looks as if Reading University have got a really decent lead there. So you don't have to be a genius to work out this is going to be Reading, more than likely, up against Cambridge.
Yeah, and Reading probably know that Cambridge, they will have seen them behind them when they were marshalling. They know that Cambridge have got a row through here. So Reading will be very aware of trying to conserve energy. Obviously, they need to make sure they go through to the final in this event, but they don't want to work themselves too hard if they want to have that opportunity against Cambridge later on today. So Reading doing what they need to do as they go over the finish line there, right of your picture. But they'll be looking forward to a close race, I'm sure, between them and the crew from Cambridge later on today in the final of the Championship Double Skulls, Championship Lightweight Double Skulls.
Okay, so that's us up to date. Race 333. Next race due us at 11:42, and that is semi-final of the Championship pairs. Lee, University of London, Oxford Brookes, Oxford University. That promises to be a cracking pair of semis there. Then we move on to the Coxless Fours. Then the Academic Club Eights at midday. Thames, Tideway, Scullers, Vesta, Cantabrisian. Some really, really good racing there yesterday. Some very, very close races. The times extremely close between any of those. Thames, Scullers, Vesta, Cantabrisian. I think Scullers hold the title for that, albeit a couple of years ago, I think. Then we're on to the aspirational double skulls. Then the development fours. Now they were really good races yesterday, considering that you know they're fairly new to rowing, and that the pedigrees not necessarily established yet. Not a lot of racing. I was really really impressed with their performances yesterday, and that takes us up to around about 12:30, and then semi-finals all through to about 2 o'clock.
Yeah, always exciting.
Then the finals. So hopefully the weather's holding. Hopefully we won't have too much wind, as you say. That would be a bit of a killer. And yeah, reasonably dry. Decent amount of people around. It looks as if we've gone underway then with the championship pairs. Lee, University of London.
Absolutely, and we've got a bit of information about this University of London crew. They run silver in the Champ 8 and gold in the Champ Coxless 4 at Bucks. So these two athletes from University of London should be in a good position here against the crew of Lee. And indeed, it does look like they're out in front in the early stage of this race. You can see the yellow boat, the purple kit of University of London, leading the bright orange of Lee as they come through our first camera there. And that marks the end of the spectator zone, pushing on through the first third of their race and into the middle third.
Yeah, they're coming up to our commentary position now, so as we look across, we'll get a really good idea of the distance, and it's definitely clear water. It could be a couple of lengths. What would you say?
Yeah, I'm going to say it's about a length and a half now, but this early in the race, that's quite an impressive lead to develop there. And I'm sure University of London really looking back on that Lee crew. They've made a strong start here. They'll be looking to get out a little bit further in front, and then they can start to say, right, we're comfortable here. We're just going to keep an eye on the opposition and push our way through this course. But University of London looking comfortable in the early stage of this race. They've made their mark. They've got out in front. And now they really kind of have the control here as they push on through the distance.
Yeah, the next round waiting on the start. So that's the other half of the semi-final. This is Brookes against Oxford University. So this will be tasty, won't it? This will be interesting.
Absolutely, a proper Oxford derby we've got here, and a lot of pedigree in the Oxford University boat. Julia Lindsay, who's in that crew, was in the Blue Boat 2021. She's had 3 wins at Canadian University Championships in the lightweight single sculls. She's won in the senior lightweight single sculls and the under 23 lightweight single at Canadian Henley. So really good performances there from Lindsay in the past, and Anja Zephus was also in the Blue Boat in 2021. So we should expect quite a strong crew from Oxford University, but Oxford Brookes never to be underestimated.
Meanwhile, the other half of the semi coming up towards the finish.
Yeah, it looks as though it's still University of London out in front as they push on down the course now. Approaching Remenham Club, which is the finish for Henley Women's. You can still see the purple kit, the yellow boat of University of London out in front there over the bright orange kit of Lee. I think Lee have to win some of the prizes for the best kit. I like the bright orange, always very recognisable.
Off the start then, it is the Brookes Oxford Uni race that's gone underway. It looked to me as if, well, they both got away cleanly. It looked to me as if possibly Oxford Uni got the better start, but there's a camera angle. We can't see too well from that, but they're certainly rating high, keeping their distance apart just. Yeah, quality stuff this though, isn't it? There's Brookes nearest to the camera. Oxford University top of the screen, and the advantage at the moment to Oxford University, yeah?
Absolutely. Oxford University currently about half a length in front. One thing we know about Brookes, it's something we saw a lot at Bucks a couple of weekends ago, or sorry, last weekend actually. Brookes often have quite a fast finish. They tend to perform well in the latter stages of a race. They tend to push on in the second half. So Brookes definitely not to be counted out of this race here. Their bow ball just holding on to the stern of the Oxford boat as they push through the first third of this race. But I'm sure they've got a few secrets up their sleeve, and they will start to turn the screw on the Oxford University crew the further they go down this course.
Well, they've called it half a length. It looks to me as if Brookes are actually making a bit of ground here. At the top, we can see the result. That race coming to conclusion, and that looks like a win for UL. Agreed.
Absolutely, that's the crew of University of London, Emily Lindberg and Isabel Powell, who go through in that first semi-final.
And here we are in the second semi. Brookes against Oxford University.
Yeah, Julia Lindsay and Anja Zephus of Oxford University currently leading, but Brookes staying there with them as they push on down the course, doing what they need to do to remain in this competition here, and it looks as though still a very tight-fought battle between these two crews, both of Oxford. So a nice Oxford Brookes, Oxford University derby going on here at Henley Women's 2021.
On the water there, just got a wee bit bobbly. You can see where there's a break with the crossing point with the booms, where the some of the wash from the boats and some of the wake, and in fact some of it's caused from the umpire launch, although this catamaran is not kicking up too much wash, but you can see it bobbling around. So a bit to contend with out there. It's not flat calm, is it?
No, not at all. And it's worth saying that when it comes to choppy conditions, probably the hardest boat to row through them in is probably a pair. Only 2 athletes in the boat, only 2 oars they're holding. So it's probably the hardest boat in rowing to balance.
Yeah, true. There's only 2 contact points at any one time, and you know, you can accelerate them. So providing they're in touch, you know, we could have a bit of a finish here. As you say, Brookes, you know, have a reputation for putting in a sprint finish. We saw it yesterday in one of the races here, where they came back and beat Sheffield in a quite astonishing finish. So here we go. We'll keep eyes on this. So 4 minutes into the race, it's Oxford University leading Brooks. I'm trying to see from a camera angle what that sort of distance looks like. Yeah, they're still in touch, yeah?
Yeah, still in touch, but I think just starting to break that elastic a little bit there. So you're starting to see the bow ball of Oxford Brooks struggling to keep up with the Oxford University boat there. I think if Oxford University maintain the momentum in the final stage of this race, they could break free here. Oh, and there's an umpire warning. That is for Oxford University being asked to move over out of the centre. Oxford University responding. That would have cost them a little bit there, but not too much, and they are still out in front of the Oxford Brooks crew.
Yeah, done enough, would you say? They're just pulling away a bit there, aren't they?
Yeah, we are up now on our last camera, so this is the finish line. It looks to me as though Oxford University have got this one in the bag now. And they'll be delighted to be going through to the final of the championship pairs.
Aspirational academic fours just got underway. University of London and Cambridge University. There's a drone shot there of the start. UL nearest the bank. Cambridge nearest to the camera. UL got off to a flyer there.
Absolutely, yeah, they were right off. They're really a nice, technically neat crew. Look at that acceleration through the end of their stroke. You can see the arms coming into the finish, down the way very quickly. So some real acceleration around the back end for that University of London crew.
And they've moved up to... that's almost a length, isn't it, already? That's very impressive. Very good start. But, you know, have they front-loaded it? Have they gone a bit early? Who knows? Very few races, actually, we've seen where the position has changed. So whoever's led, generally by the time they've got to certainly by the boating enclosure, by and large, those crews have gone on to win. However, there have been exceptions, and some have been pushed a bit harder than others. So it's just a length there. UL leading by a length over Cambridge.
Yeah, as you say, Martin, very hard to come back in these races. It's a real mental challenge when that crew gets out in front of you so early. You can hear them ahead of you sometimes. You can tell they're there, but it's just teasing you in the early stage of the race. And especially if they manage to break just that little bit further to the point where you can't see their puddles anymore. That's a real challenge to come back to and to respond to for a crew who's behind. So I think some of the most impressive performances we see at races like Henley is when a crew comes from that position of being behind and is able to continue to push on, to continue to execute their race plan and to kind of in the blind continue pushing and manage to come back through another crew here. But it does look as though that University of London crew decisively out in front in this race. They continue to extend their lead over the Cambridge boat. And they'll be happy with the first start of this race. So they push now into the competitor area and the middle third.
Just going to give you a roundup of a couple of results that have just come through. So race 332. So this was Championship Lightweight Double Skulls. Reading University 3 lengths in a time of 5:07. And the other semi-final was a win for Cambridge University 5:37. That was a row over, actually, wasn't it? They rowed over there. So they're through to the finals. Championship pairs. That was a win for London, University of London. They did that in a time of 5:03. Distance given there was 3 lengths. And then the other semi was a win for Oxford University, 1 3/4 lengths, and that time was 5:07. So we're back on the course with this, the aspirational academic fours, with UL leading the way. Next up is the other semi-final. This is Brooks and Imperial College. Brooks, left of your screen, I see over on the Buckinghamshire station in the middle of the river. Can't really see the distance here. It looks probably like Imperial are up.
Yeah, I think it's quite tight in this one here as they come in towards our commentary hut. I'm looking out of the window to try and get a sense of what the distance could be here. It was a fast start for both of these crews. And here we go as the camera pans round. It does look as though Imperial have the upper hand here in the early stages of this race. And that Imperial crew came third in the Coxless 4 and fourth in the Championship 4s at Bucks. So a good performing crew from last weekend. Here they look to be rising to the challenge of Oxford Brookes. In the previous race, it is still University of London leading the crew from Cambridge. You can see from my information here, the Cambridge crew is made up of members of the winning Cambridge University Boat Club lightweight boat race crew. It's perhaps a lightweight crew we've got there from Cambridge, but it is University of London who take the lead in that first semi-final for the aspirational academic Coxless 4s. But behind them, the second race, the second semi-final of that event, now pushing on into the middle third, and is Imperial leading out the crew of Oxford Brookes. The Imperial crew: Laura Ellington, Daisy Bethel, Gladisa Musari and Elizabeth Witt. Now look at the backsplash off the catches, that Imperial crew. They are really coming down to the water, making full advantage of the catch of their stroke, using the full distance on the slide. Always nice to see a good technical crew here. Oxford Brookes now about a length of clear water behind here in the second semi-final of the aspirational academic 4s.
Just watching this.
Looks like it's on the IC. So there on your screen you can see the blue kit of Imperial pushing on down the course. They're leading this second semi-final of the aspirational academic 4s. Looking very comfortable there. Now in the last third of their race and pushing on towards Remenham Club, the finish line for Henley Women's 2021. But behind them, the next race is off the start, and this is the Academic 8s racing for the Copus Cup. So in this next race, we have on the near side the Berkshire Station Thames Rowing Club taking on Tideway Scullers School on the Buckinghamshire Station. And they've now switched around because our drone's out in front. So the red and yellow that you can see on the near side of your camera, that is Tideway Scullers. The black and the yellow boat on the other side, that is Thames Rowing Club. And it is Thames Rowing Club who've pulled out to about half a length advantage in the early stages of this race. You can see them going through the spectator area there. High rates from both of these 8s as they set off down the course. The first semi-final of the Academic 8s.
Yeah, cracking race this one in prospect. Been looking forward to this. Thames and Scullers, here they go past our window now, and advantage Thames half a length, but there'll be plenty in there. So Thames, as we said, big squad, a very large club. Thames, of course, probably the largest on the Tideway, would you say? Yeah, with a lot of female members. Somebody was telling me. So here we are. This I presume will be their top boat, and they're ploughing away here.
Yeah, and I mean, it tends to be said, the bigger the club, the better the eight. The nature of trying to put 8 athletes together and seeing them perform well is you need quite a depth of talent in your squad in order to perform well in this event, and Thames do look to be doing that here at Henley 2021. They're rating just a little bit higher than the Tideway Scullers School. Perhaps rowing a little bit shorter as well, but it seems to be working to their advantage here in the early stages of this race.
It does, but it's close, isn't it? But there's not a lot in this. When they passed us, it was half a length, and that, it's hard to tell from that distance, but I would say this is getting a bit closer. Would you not?
No, I would say the same too. I think the longer strokes and perhaps a little bit more power from Tideway Scullers is seeing them just claim back inch by inch as we push off down the course. It was no doubt a fast start from Thames Rowing Club, but they need to hold on here and to hold off this challenge from Tideway. It looks to me as though Tideway have the momentum here as they push in to the second half.
Well, as they went through us, it was half a length, and as you say, it looks like the longer strokes of Scullers could just be doing enough. As the camera pans round, I suspect we're going to see a lead of maybe a couple of seats.
Ooh, it is looking very close indeed.
It is very close, but
look, you
look
can
at the tail of the boat, and well, one copse is in front of the other, aren't they?
Yeah, it does look as though Tideway now have the advantage. They've managed to pull back half a length in the last 500 metres or so. Can they hold on to that momentum as they continue to push down the course? You can see both coxes really urging their crews to make a move now as they come into the second half. The cox of Thames Rowing Club hunched over, shouting at their crew, getting them to move now.
And Scullers' advantage, I would say, top right-hand screen. We're coming in, so this is, as you rightly say, this is the finish camera. As they swing round here, this is a cracking finish. Look at these eights going for it. So a place in the final at stake. Scullers were behind, they came through, and they're now probably half a length up, maybe not quite that, third of a length. And crossing the line, it's Tideway Scullers School. Cracking race that. Right, next up, we have the other semi-final. Vesta, Cantabrigian. Cantabs are on the Buckinghamshire station, nearest to the bank. We have Vesta. Passing our window, have a look out, have a look across. Tell me what you think.
Oh, that is looking very close indeed. I think it is about a canvas to Buckinghamshire, and that is the crew of Cantabrigian Rowing Club, who have about a canvas up there, but it is really neck and neck in the early stages of this race. Both crews side by side as they push off here. Look, you can see that canvas from above, maybe only half a canvas from above, separating these two eights as they push through the first third and into the middle portion of this race.
It is still Cantabs that have the lead, although it's a little bit marginal. We're only a third of the way down the course as we watch this, the second semi-final. The race before, we saw Scullers behind, third of the way down the course. At the halfway mark, they were getting back on terms, and they went ahead and took the victory ahead of Thames. Here, it's the crew from the capital that are in second place.
I think that's a real move from Oxford Brookes there. You're seeing a lot of shunt on the end of those oars now as they push into the
Well, they're not racing,
middle half.
so it's probably somebody. It's probably Vesta.
Sorry. That real shunt going from Vesta there as they push into the middle half of this race. I would wager they now have a bit of momentum over their competitors here. The crew of Cantabrigian Rowing Club there as they push on down now. But we'll
So
see
all
as
those
they come
beers
up.
we were promised at Vesta have just gone down the drain because you thought they were Brooks. You can make that mistake. Similar kit. However, what's happening out on the water?
This is very, very close once again. Cantabs under pressure from Vesta. Vesta nearest to the camera this side. Have they made a push? So there's definitely an increase in the rate, and the race is on. The race is on towards the finish. We'll stick with this top right hand corner. Not much in this at all.
So Vesta definitely coming back here, but it does
They
look
are
as though
indeed.
Cantabrigian holding on to that advantage, but it can only be a third of a length or just over a canvas separating these two boats. Still all to play for.
Well, there's enough water left, that's for sure. And we'll switch in a moment to the finish camera and see the last strokes of this really two cracking semi-finals as we predicted. Vesta, Cantabrigian, advantage Cantabs at the moment. Vesta now digging deep, going for a sprint. Cantabs trying to hold them off. Really close stuff, and we can hear the commentator on the PA behind getting very excited. So this is extremely close, coming up towards the finish line. I think they've done enough. I think crossing the line, Cantabs have held them off. Yeah, probably, I don't know what, quarter of a length. We'll have a look. Really good stuff. Okay, aspirational double sculls, wall